are these people?
We were told about the Maui situation, at least on Monday, was that the cause of the fires was from damaged power lines that fell down and because of the electric company.
And no water available. They shut off the water.
And the water, too. That's part of the whole, what you would call a conspiracy, but it's not really a conspiracy because that's a reality. It's more like a reality fact. We can call that one a reality fact. And that's something that just exists like outside of like whatever you can call a theory. So like to whatever degree we can call things a conspiracy, it's pretty obvious to everyone that
the conspiracy is thinking that the water just happened to not be working the same day as, a bunch of kids get sent home from school and a bunch of houses end up in flames.
Oh yeah, and there's 1,000 kids. By the way, the death count is maybe like
it's over 1,000, right? Or we're thinking it's over.
No. What's the official death count?
It's like I don't know. I think the official one was like 130, 150.
It's like 130, something like that. It's in the hundreds. There's thousands of kids missing. Thousands of kids. Over 2,000 kids. Like there's kids so normally in this kind of situation, when someone is considered missing, that's usually dead. They usually
especially within 2 days. Like isn't 2 days
more
than
that.
They're like get abducted.
They said a lot of these parents are missing too. They have no way to find these kids.
The thing is, like the fires were so hot that like trying to freaking like it's just gonna be like that because people turn to ash. There's no bones. There's no freaking like that was the thing. You remember seeing all the cars and stuff that were like melted, like. So anyway, something weird with the fires. Were extremely fucking hot and didn't leave much left identifying. So I think a lot of the numbers are just going to end up being missing, like unofficially dead,
Well, so the electric company, they're in a little bit of a lawsuit right now, but actually several lawsuits right now, but there's a bit of a dispute between the county and electric company. They're just blaming each other right now as to who started this. Who do you believe?
Where brush fires led to new evacuations near Lahiana, just a few miles from the catastrophic wildfires. This with new questions about how those earlier fires started and if anything has been done to impede the investigation. Mola Langi is on Maui with those details for us. Good morning, Mola.
Well, good morning, Robin. As investigations into the cause of the fire intensify, so do questions about the handling of potential evidence. Maui County recently claiming in a lawsuit negligence by Hawaiian Electric caused the fire, killing at least 115 people. At one location near Lahaina being investigated as a potential origin, neighbors tell us downed power lines sparked small fires as early as 6:30 a.m. the morning of the Lahaina fires. Now, this cell phone video shot by a neighbor that morning. Also telling me they saw crews cleaning up those downed lines in the aftermath of the fires and days before federal investigators arrived to determine a cause, a probe that is ongoing.
Which we still don't know about. But then here's 2 days ago, the electric company is coming out and saying that they turned off the electrics.
Including that the fire at 6:30 a.m., the morning fire, appears to have been caused by power lines that fell in high winds. That the Maui County Fire Department responded and reported it 100% contained, left the scene, and later declared it extinguished. And perhaps most importantly, at about 3 p.m., a time when all of Hawaiian Electric's power lines in West Maui had been de-energized for more than 6 hours, a second fire, the afternoon fire, began in the same area, with the cause undetermined. Jerry Singleton's law firm represents some.
So if the fire,
So what it sounds like is that the power lines went down. The fire department took care of it, and then as a safety precaution, the electrical company shut off the power until all that stuff was fixed. Is that like the story that they're giving us? Is that how I'm supposed
to? Well, so there's no real evidence that there's...
Right, but that's what we're being told. Obviously, I'm not going to believe an energy company.
This is the electric company. They're coming out. They're saying that this is that, that the Hawaiian government is lying. And that this was not caused by electrical fires.
I mean, dude, I just remember what happened to Paradise, and so I'm just like my first I don't know. Like
I
don't think it's the energy weapon thing. Like as much as I want to oh, maybe it's appealing beachfront property to like Oprah Winfrey and Keanu Reeves, but like I don't know if I'm that cynical. And so like the energy company had no incentive to like put them underground because they're freaking cheap and they're reaping what they sow and they don't want to have to pay billions of dollars. So that's kind of where my take is. I'm just assuming that it's the energy company until further notice. Kind of where I'm at on it.
I mean, it's more of like a back and forth between
the thing is the stuff with the water being shut off is fucking weird to me too. Like that's freaking weird to me. That's and like the turning people around. I don't know, man. It's just like it's hard to say.
Here's another question I have.
A week after the fires, the company's CEO told Tom this.
Why didn't you shut off the power when the wind started to pick up?
As I said earlier, it's still in the early days. We're still looking at all the information, and we haven't.
Yeah, we're still making our stories.
We're still looking for it.
We're still putting all our stories together to come up with the excuse.
We're still trying to make it up as we
go. We're still gaslighting you guys.
That's why I'm asking. Like, is it do they just like is this planned or are they just making it up as they go along?
Well, and so that's why I think it's just like I was saying last week, where we saw a string of factories getting set on fire. And then like a few years ago, there was the Paradise Fire that was related to PG&E. So like I'm more inclined to think that it's the energy company. And now the energy company is being allowed to cover their ass. The fucking mayor, the fucking governor should be like, you guys have to answer to us within like immediately. Like, why are you guys dragging your feet? And should be having a full-blown investigation into the energy company right now and is letting the energy company create a narrative. So I'm going to be cynical as far as that's concerned, but like, I don't know. That's just the stuff with the water and turning people around. That's where it like starts to not make sense to me.
That's the real conspiracy.
That's the weird stuff to me. But as far as like starting the fire, like I'm not. It's weird how hot it got. I don't know why. There's some things that I'm not like familiar with enough to know about, but yeah, there we go. Go start saying Hawaiian Electric is 10% owned by BlackRock. BlackRock owns 10% of everything. Not hearing any sound. Oh, is it buffering the sound?
Weird. Hold on.
But it just seems to me that they're being allowed to cover their asses until they come up with a story that everybody can get behind.
We haven't actually had a chance to do all of that at this time.
With all due respect, it's been 6 days though, so almost 6 days.
And we've been putting everything we've got to helping our communities right now and our employees who are going through a lot.
It's East Palestine all over again, man. It's the same fucking story. It's like, my segment coming up is like kind of deep, but like, man, it's like related to this fucking shit because it's just companies are going to do the least amount that they're going to do to fit within regulations. That's why I just default to thinking that the energy company fucked up and they're just covering their ass. You're breaking. I don't hear you again. Your mic keeps cutting out.
Oh shit! Like
there we go.
But like you're the electric company. We're assuming that like, you're in control of all these dashboards and metrics and understanding where all like you're operating all these power lines and you can't. It takes you more than a week to come up with
a story
whether or not it was shut off during this time period. You can't come up. You can't.
No, I mean, like, if you were.
Why does it take 6 days?
If you were guilty as fuck and knew you were guilty as fuck 6 days ago, what would you be doing? You'd be fucking.
You'd be covering
You'd be burning the evidence. You'd be freaking like, yeah. You would be doing everything you can, calling all the higher ups and being like, "We need to get our story straight." And like, if you want to go down like the kind of conspiratorial hole, like, how do we tie in the water getting shut off and the police department turning people around, and there's just elements there that make it think like it's not just the electric company. So, from what I know right now, all I see is that instead of the government like holding the electric company liable until further notice and being like, you guys are on blast, we want everything, you go access to everything immediately, we're going through your shit, we're going through your cameras, we're going through all your shit, and like that's the way it's going to be. But no, instead the governor and the state is letting the electric company have their say and have press conferences. It makes me think that the government has some culpability in this,
Oh yeah.
So it's like there's
there is nothing more fishier going on. Like, what kind of have you ever heard of a natural disaster where you were unable to go on the crime scene? Like, did this happen during like Katrina or anything? Really?
Where they weren't. Oh yeah, because they're not allowed. They're not even allowing people to freaking.
But why? Why? I really can't. Why? What? Is there a law that
there shouldn't be? I mean, there's still.
I just have
homes there.
Like person so with questions. That's all.
Here's the thing: is that like what's the excuse that they're giving people that they're not allowed to go into Lahaina?
That it's a danger zone. It's like when I played that John Pelzer video, it was just him saying about reverence. Apparently,
about reverence. So just giving reverence to the people who burn to fucking ash.
Yeah, like I want to see where my fucking son is, but like can't go there because you got to respect the fan.
That's crazy because that sounds to me like they're just covering shit up, man. It just sounds like they're covering shit up. Well, like, because like that's what it's like. It goes back to what I was saying. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like the first day you were seeing the videos of like cars melted and bikes melted and like all this like crazy shit. Clearly fires that were getting thousands, like extremely fucking hot. People. That's why I'm saying like all the like missing persons are going to stay missing because they're not going to be able to identify all the thousands of kids that got burned to ash. So like what the fuck happened? It's not normal for freaking. That's the thing. Like, is an electrical fire capable of fucking like melting cars to the ground? That sounds like
entire village to the ground. Can it do? I don't know. Is it normal for them to build a giant fence around the entire ground zero?
Fence they put up. This is where they were hurting people. This is where they hurted people. This is where they started the death streak murder. This was all a trap right here.
You guys don't want us to see what's in there, huh?
Yes, how long? This island.
Jimmy, this fence wasn't here. They built it. They built it instead of looking for
like immediately put that shit up.
Okay, so when we come
bro,
up on
that's
this
turning into a
this
FEMA
is where we're
camp.
gonna start
It's
seeing
turning
all
into a
that
FEMA camp.
Is that what it is?
Remember you showed me last week with the
There's
freaking
cops
storage.
there guarding it.
Bro, you showed me last week the storage unit that they're going to move people into. It's the fucking FEMA camps AJ was talking about 10 years ago.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Okay. So part of and I agree it's like part of like just them covering stuff up at this point. Like obviously, so my thought process is you see fences like that. They're not just like chain link fences where they don't want people going in. They're blocked off fences. They don't want people seeing what's going on in there. And you showed the video last week of the storage units that people are being moved into, right? Like, and I think you might have had some more stuff on that, but it looks like that they're going to convert it into some sort of martial law FEMA camp. So, and like Alex Jones years ago,
what else are they gonna do?
like 10 years ago, Alex Jones was talking about how like it's that there was going to be a wave of freaking like crises or natural disasters and stuff, and then the FEMA was going to come in and we'd be under martial law. That was like one of Alex Jones's things. That's like after this happened, they started like saying nobody could watch the shit. I'm like, oh, it's a fin. You see the fucking storage units, like, except it was weird. You saw that lady with FEMA being like, oh yeah, all you guys are getting is that $700 and that's it. But like, who are the people who are setting up those fences around Lahaina? Who are the people who are allowed in there? You know, what are they doing in there? Are they just going to freaking completely like excavate and bulldoze the entire area and then be like, oh, you can come back now?
That
Oh,
seems like what they're trying to do.
That seems like what it is, right? They're just gonna freaking take out the entire area and be like, yeah, like this is your new home.
There seems to be a huge emphasis on ensuring that the media and anyone else can't see what's going on here in Lahaina, West Maui. There are miles and miles of this black fence going up that was not here before, that is obscuring ground zero and making sure no one can see what's going on inside of there from the road. No one can get in there. No one can take any pictures. And then I've also seen these weird foreign police cars showing up, these special police, I'm not sure what to call them. This is a Nissan, but there's quite a large presence of these standing guard around the perimeter. We've also lost our ability to fly drones really anywhere near this area. Now, this 20-second clip here that I tried to get out of my car and show what was...
Why can't you fly a drone? Why wouldn't you be able to fly a drone?
They probably have it so far out. Like, you know, drones only have a battery life for about like 20, 30 minutes. So, and that's like a...
No, they banned it. I'll show it later. You can't fly on.
Oh, so you, like, it's not even that they made it hard. It's like you literally will get fined if you fucking try and fly a drone.
Yeah. It's not that it's not possible. They're literally...
Hey, Alexa, for Ribbon News still in Maui, and here is my update. I'm currently in Lahiana, and by the way, behind me, this is one of example of the multiple power lines that have collapsed. Now we have some workers who try to work on it, and now this block that road to get access to the town. And I was trying to engage conversation with the military officer to just...
You can't fly a drone unless you have special authorization from the government.
About the development on the ground, it seems that most of the military are not really aware about what is going on because nobody is giving them the information. Everything is kept between the main people in charge. So if you want to get close to the
is there a military presence in Maui?
Police headquarters,
yeah, the National
you need
Guard
to be
there.
on a special list. If you want to go inside of the town, you need a special authorization for you to go in.
Yeah, so
and
it's straight up martial law,
if you want to fly a drone, you need to have a special code authorization to do it. So it's really hard to report here because it seems that every information is kept far away from the public. So what I learned so far from military officer, it's like he told me that by rumor that he heard from other people work closely, it seems that most of the area have been searched so far. They don't know how much people die so far. They don't know the death toll, but they expect to be way, way more than what we heard so far from mainstream media. And we will continue to investigate, but as I say, it's really difficult because it seems that every information is kept out of the public, and it's really hard to reach the media department or anybody involved with the information. So please, if you want to follow us, go to thetruthaboutmaui.com. Thanks in advance and share it.
So the National
Guard
Guard
near this area. Now, this 20-second clip here that I tried to get out of my car and show what was going on, I was almost immediately, after these 20 seconds, National Guard came, chased me off, yelled at me, told me to get back in my car and keep moving. So you cannot pull over. You can't even stop your car anywhere near any of this.
Oh, okay. So this is
now I'm going to show you a...
It's a cover-up.
Well, okay. So is it de facto martial law or is it martial law? Has anybody...
No, it's not martial law yet.
So it's just nobody's pushed the envelope yet and been like, you're not allowed to let me not go to my home. Like, I'm waiting. I'm like, where are the videos of people who are like, you can't stop me from doing this? Like, I want to know where the what the actual legal authority they are using right now to do that, because you can't just tell somebody they can't go to their house that they own their property on. You can't.
I don't know what it's going to take for like a full scale revolt on, because this is like a pure tragic, like, even if it's not like the government not like purposely destroying it, whatever you mean, it's just the negligence alone is just so purely evil.
Doesn't feel like negligence anymore with that fence going up, man. It doesn't.
It definitely doesn't. Listen to these people.
And we're just asking, why is our town burnt down? Why are our families' houses gone? And if you can explain that to us in a logical, reasonable way, we'll accept it. But right now, there is no explanation.
Well, that's why they're taking so long to freaking get back to you guys.
Two sides arguing from what I saw on Civil Rights or whatever that magazine is, newspaper, Civil Beat. And then the other side was a Guardian putting out stuff. But then I'm hearing stuff on the other side. And I'm like, hey, somebody's spinning this story. People are using this for their advantage politically. Right. And it shouldn't be done.
That's right.
It shouldn't be done at all. Yeah. And that's all I'm saying. Whether they are doing this, they should not be doing this for political use, either on pro-Kanaka side or the other side. We just got to get this thing, and it should be transparency in this. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
I have 3 items that I'm testifying on. My
This
name
guy's
is
really
Justin
good, too.
Huey. I am a teacher, a 3rd grade teacher from the burned down King Kamehameha III Elementary in Lahaina, and I am testifying on my concerns of the governor's emergency proclamation that happened 3 weeks prior to the fire, and how it suspended 7 state statutes, of which exonerated everything that you guys are in charge of, covers county organization, administration, chapter 46, collective bargaining was rescinded, school impact fees, collective bargaining was rescinded, and to my knowledge, this was the first emergency proclamation in the country that didn't have a preceding incident. Normally it's like a hurricane, boom, emergency proclamation.
That's fucking
But this
crazy.
was just, from my knowledge, was
Good
just
find,
to
man.
streamline development on Maui, and it is allocated all decision-making power to one person, the housing officer of the governor, Nani Medeiros, who's unelected, who can trump every single thing that you do and everything that you say and every item that we cover, without any input from the community, without any public discourse, without sunshine law. Before I go to my, tomorrow, I love what you said, Lahaina's not for sale, please include us. But I don't see that happening, and I was able to meet with Nani Medeiros. I graciously invited her into my home in order to speak with teachers from the burned down King Kamehameha III Elementary and their own homes, and they're moving forward with they're meeting with developers, private landowners, and not a lot of community unless you know how to maneuver correctly. So before I go to my next item, I would just like to ask each council member to let me know, are you in favor of this emergency proclamation that takes away sunshine law, collective bargaining, all your power in decision making? I would like to continue kindness, and before I go on to the item that I want to testify on, who's in favor of that? Because I have serious concerns.
Mr. Huey.
It's insane.
So the government gave itself immunity from all this shit a few weeks before it happened.
That's the intention, and that there seems to be that controlling opposition within the Miami Council.
So again, okay, so now it's okay, if this was a setup,
look at this, what the woman says. Not even the own citizens by it.
Why wouldn't they have had
that West Maui has had with people in charge that this is going to happen? This is the result of a decades and generations long conversation that West Maui has had with people in charge that this is going to happen, between Miko and the power lines and the fire response and the water department not communicating to people that there is a problem with their water properly, between the sirens not going up. off. People are
Yeah.
pissed, and it's justifiable. And in the face of all of that, these resilience hubs, whatever you want to call them, these Ohana hubs have been established quickly because of the relationships, of the ties in West Maui and outside of West Maui that are beyond government and agencies. And the feeling, the palpable feeling in the couple of days after this disaster that we are on our own. Nobody is coming to save us. We've been asking for help for decades and nobody's coming to save us. And so
it's really, this is God bless mutual aid for what we have. I mean, and this is the only thing that we have left in this country. People have to start realizing now, like as soon as a Maui or an East Palestine happens to your town, no one's coming to save you.
Well, here's kind of like it's kind of like what happened. I know this might sound like weird, but it's kind of like what happened with Bernie. Bernie was going to lead us to like the promised land. I thought he was going to be this great guy, and then when he turned out to fail and be this just simp for the Democratic Party, I realized there was nobody. So like people who are going through these tragedies and are seeing that the government is giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, knocking anything to them, they're getting like a lesson in freaking dual power, creating freaking organization outside of our institutions, like communities. Like there's kind of an irony where people are being compelled to learn kind of in essence some sort of kind of anarchist and communist theory and organizing because they literally see that the state isn't doing anything for them, so they have to do it on their own. And people are eventually going to get through their heads that there's kind of like a point where they go from waiting for the government to help them to be like, oh my God, we can actually do this stuff without the government. And so like we keep seeing that happen. Like what happens if that happens in East Palestine, where they're like, we're just going to have to figure out how to like manage this crisis on our own because the government's never going to help us. You start seeing all these like these unincorporated places, So it's terrible, but on the one hand, I think people are learning a lot about how their relationship to the government, And
this is the result of sitting on neoliberalism for years.
Yeah, this is just fucking.
There's a lot of people in the space who've sort of gotten it at this point, and I kind of just like flashing the warning signals. And as soon as this shit like this happens, this is the result of a complete and total collapse, and people are just not aware of what that looks like.
I'll get more into it, but yeah, I mean, you're totally right. Is that basically our country is so much more interested in pursuing like the growth and development of poor countries because they can extract more wealth from poor countries. Poor countries. I use like Parenti's kind of definition of poor countries. And so it's at the detriment of Americans. We suffer because the capitalists would rather develop other countries to exploit them for more money, So that's why I'm kind of back on like going back and forth between like how much of it is a conspiracy, how much of it is just like
a lot of it is
corporate bodies completely fucking up.
I mean, a lot of it. I mean, there's a lot of.
It'll be really.
You've heard of Agenda 21, right? With the UN.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just so people are aware that this exists. It's a plan from 1970.
Yeah, actually,
the United Nations Habitat 1 plan that came down at the Vancouver Convention in 1976. Under this plan, all humans that once lived on farms and in rural areas, so-called wildlands, will be relocated to cities, now referred to as human settlements.
And the idea is that if you concentrate populations into specific areas or zones, less energy usage, less water usage, and less transportation. So people will have less reason to leave home. They'll stay in their homes. They may even work out of their homes. And so they're not going to be using their cars. They're not going to be using energy. And they're not going to be using water.
Since, as we saw earlier, the UN is not big on property rights, it should come as no surprise that the first private property to be phased out will be single-family homes, what socialists at UN headquarters consider suburban sprawl. Instead, we the people will live in apartments and condos in megacities near railroad tracks. Our super tall dwelling units will all be built to UN-specified building codes authorized by ICLEI, COGS, the ADA, and a myriad of NGOs and other friends of sustainable development.
Yeah, that's that's the plan overall. The Biden admin doesn't seem to be taking any more shit about this. They seem to have their day and then they want to run with it. This is Peter Ducey asking KGP.
She looks so enthusiastic to take his.
Oh yeah, we'll listen to her answer on this.
And it seems like the hurricane response so far is robust. Did you guys realize that the initial Hawaii wildfire response was not that good, or is it just?
Don't get me wrong, he's a douchebag, but like he's.
I mean, I think he's
at least he's willing to ask questions. God damn.
Easier for people to get help from the White House when the president is not on vacation.
So the premise of your question and the way you pose your question, I disagree. Just for the record,
I disagree with your question.
If you were to do your reporting and speak to the governor of Hawaii, the senators of Hawaii, the folks on the ground, they would say that the president reacted in record time when it came to dealing with the wildfires.
Yeah.
When it came to dealing and making sure that they got everything that they need on the federal level to deal with what was going on the ground. Let's not remember.
It's insulting. It's insulting how she says that. Like, it's just like, really, like, how long did it take Biden to go out there? It was like 6 days, right? 8 days.
Let's not forget, we just got a fresh new package of millions of arms to Ukraine. We got some air defense missiles in there. We got artillery rounds. We got javelin missiles, Hydra rockets. What else could you ask for?
Well, it's like you were saying, like, shouldn't they be happy they got that $95 million?
Why can't people just shut up with their $700 and take it?
The critical needs assistance that was provided to those in Maui, $700 in payments to individuals there, given the cost of living in Hawaii, specifically in the Lahaina community. Is anything being done right now? Are there considerations or efforts being made to try to raise that cap, that $700 figure for those who are there?
Yeah, the $700 figure of critical needs assistance is really just that amount of funding for some of the very immediate needs.
That's it. Sorry.
That individuals have.
What do you expect
every
people
year,
to do?
the main part of our assistance, which is our individual and household program, adjusts annually based on inflation. This year it's $41,000 of a cap that individuals can get. That will get raised after the fiscal year. I don't know what that number is yet, but we do adjust that main portion of the funding that goes to individuals annually based on inflation.
The critical needs assistance.
Yeah, so don't expect anything anytime soon. Sorry.
So what's the population of Lahaina? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, but I can tell you that $700 nowhere in the United States is livable.
Well, right. So my thing is, like, so what are they going to do with these ostensibly tens of thousands of residents who I guess are living in hotels and shit for now, living at friends' places, like, just completely displaced. So, like, you know, you showed the storage unit thing. Like, is this what I just don't understand what's going to happen. Like, people are going to go from having nothing again, and they're just going to provide them homes. Is Lahaina about to become some freaking like test for testing?
You know, it's the testing grounds. It's a perfect testing ground. It's distant. It's not even like, it's barely, you know, a state at this point.
Keep talking. I want to know the population of Lahaina, because like
you know, I mean, at this
you're
point,
talking about tens of thousands of people that they're going to put into storage units. It just, something doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so it has a population of 9,118. Okay, so not a crazy big population, but every single one of them is displaced. Let's say on the high end, there's 2,000 people who are dead between children and adults. 2,000, between 1,000 and 2,000. So let's just say there's like 7,500 people that are displaced, right? They're living at their friends' houses. They're living in hotels. They're living in tents. They're living not in Lahaina, right? So what the fuck is going to happen to those people? All of a sudden, they're going to just like take the freaking blackout signs on the side of the road down, and they're going to be like, here's your storage unit. Like,
that seems like the plan.
What's the not conspiratorial thing? What's the other? What's
climate change?
What's the like? I'm just trying to understand. Like, I'm like,
you have to stop. The world is
burning. This is why I was asking. This is why I was asking before if it's
no
like de facto martial law or if it's real martial law. If it's like did the government in the middle of the night fucking sign martial law and people just don't really know about it? But if you try and go in Lahaina, like, you'll get a gun pointed in your face. Like,
I think you're asking too many questions.
That's a fucking FEMA camp.
You're asking too many questions.
I'm just really curious.
Would you rather would you want to talk to about the?
I hope somebody at Rebel News, or I hope like maybe somebody at Gray Zone's got boots on the ground over in Maui trying to scope things out. But like,
yeah, no, Jeremy's over there.
Jeremy Lafredo's over there. Okay, awesome. I hope somebody is willing to freaking push some buttons and get some answers, because like.
Well, Nick Sorter's over there. Yeah, they got people over there.
I mean, Nick Sorter, like, yeah, I saw like a little bit of what he's doing, but like, I really hope somebody pushes some buttons so we get some answers, because like the last thing we want is for those freaking walls to come down and you just see a bunch of storage units and it's like, oh, welcome to your new homes. Like I just have the worst dystopian picture in my head, like 2 weeks from now, of like it's gonna happen like that. Like, if they were planning this shit out like over a month ago, where they were like just signing away their like, so they were immune against freaking liability, that means that they got the shit ready to pop off. What if the power company does have a plan B where like everything's just gonna be ready to go in a couple weeks? Like, I don't understand. What's not the conspiracy here?
It's climate change.